I'm Miranda Gahrmann. I'm originally from the Netherlands, and I moved in 2016. I moved to Dubai. Um, I work currently as a vice president organic performance. It's a role that I took on 2 months ago. Before that, I was working 6 years as a global SEO manager and 15 years in the field of SEO. Mainly making sure that websites get a lot of traffic and a lot more revenue out of search engines.
That's great. And if I may ask, why did you choose SEO as a field? Was it something that you sort of just dropped into, or something that you actively chose for yourself?
I actually rolled into it. So I started working 15 years ago at a translation company. And I started as a project manager, but then after 1 month, I felt like this is not for me. Yeah, it didn't excite me. So I went to the director. I said, "This role is not for me. Is there something else that I can do?" And it was a really nice company. So I thought I didn't want to leave the company, but the work is not making me happy. And then the director said, "Well, we have a website. You can work on the website, but you have to learn it yourself because nobody in the company knows about how to make sure that we get more traffic. And you also need to make sure that it's profitable in 1 year, because otherwise we cannot fund the job anymore." And I thought, like, because anyway, I don't like the job. So if I don't choose it, I will likely leave the company. So I thought, okay, why not? And turned out to be very successful. So I stayed 3 years with the company, a very nice one. We grew from one person, just me, to like 5 persons in the team. And there was also like a clear impact on revenue. So that's how I started in SEO.
Nice, nice. That's a great story. And while you were getting well versed with SEO, I'm sure you faced a lot of challenges. In the beginning, it must have like seemed really difficult as to what you were doing before. So I would like you to like give us the detailed overview as to how you overcame all of that, and you were able to be well versed in SEO, and sort of motivate yourself to just stay steadfast in what you were doing.
So it was especially challenging because no one in the company knew about it. So I couldn't ask for advice. So I did a lot of like research online. And it was 15 years ago. So at that time, there were no SEO courses yet. So I did a lot of research online, tested a lot of things, see what works, what doesn't. Um, and then actually, after like 5 years working in the field, then I did a master in digital marketing, which actually then tied the different things together, also from other departments. So then that was a very good step forward. But mainly, like the first 5 years was a lot based on own research on the internet, a lot of testing, and see what works.
Nice. And were there some days when you were like, okay, so like I'm not able to get the resources that I need. I should just go back to doing what I was doing, or just leave the job.
No, because the thing what I like about a lot about SEO, it's like a constant competition. So it's like always like the competitors are also working on their side, and we always try to make sure that we perform better. So that the constant competition in the field is something which I like a lot.
Nice, nice. And since you're talking about what's happening within the SEO field, so we see that the trends keep on changing within the SEO space. And with the advent of the chat GPT, how do you think that the SEO space has changed, and how do you predict the future in this particular space?
So we're watching very closely how Google evaluates how they evaluate content generated by ChatGPT. In the beginning, they were saying that any AI generated content wouldn't rank that high, so they were against it. They have updated their guidelines recently, like last month, and where they state if the content is helpful to users, it doesn't matter how it's being generated. So it actually allows that, okay, like if the content which is generated by AI is helpful for users, then it shouldn't be an issue. They only stated in their Google guidelines that also effort, the amount of effort that is being done for content is a ranking factor. So that is something what we have to see with AI. How can we make sure that the content is perceived as we did quite some effort to generate it and make sure that it's helpful for users. So any like quick and dirty like text output that likely won't perform. But if the content itself is very good and very helpful for the user, In that way, AI could help to generate content faster. Because the thing is with SEO, it's very much dependent on content, and AI can help to speed up the content creation. So there's an opportunity there.
Nice. So you're saying that the advent of chat GPT is basically going to help the particular field of SEO.
Yeah, I think it could help, but it depends very much on the output. And then the output depends on what kind of prompts you feed into ChatGPT. So if it's, for example, like if you just say like write a blog post about this and this, you'll likely get like content which is not that in depth. But if you say like you can also feed it content, or you can say like these are like our brand voice, make sure that it's reflected in the article. So all like kind of like extra input that will help also to deliver a better text.
Yes, of course. And as ChatGPT reinvents itself, we're also able to see, how, all the limitations or all the things that we can do with it as well. So that's
Yeah,
great.
and
And yeah.
and maybe one thing, because in this perspective we only talk about ChatGPT as in the form of text, but ChatGPT also can help with writing codes. So one thing with SEO, like if we have like tools on the website which are very helpful to users, for example, like a salary calculator, or like if we have like a calculator like brute versus net salary, we can also ask ChatGPT to create these kind of codes. So it's I think currently we only explore the content part within ChatGPT, but I think there's also opportunities there about coding or adding certain features to the website, which are very helpful for users.
Yes, of course. And even with the launch of ChatGPT 4, I was exploring it and I saw that, if you give it like the wireframes that you've drawn on your notebook, it can generate
Yeah,
entire website.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very it's still very new, so we're still like exploring a lot, but I think it will be very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's great to know your thoughts about ChatGPT. Miranda, since you're in this field and you've been working in this field for quite some time now, I'm sure there is a need for you to sort of reinvent yourself and learn more about the particular field, upskill yourself. So what do you do to do like the upskilling bit? So do you take any online courses, any books that you read?
Yeah, I focused a lot on upskilling. So I do a lot of masters because my philosophy is that if I spend my time in something, I also want to make sure I get the degree out of it. So I'm currently doing a master in software engineering. So in the weekend, I used to spend my time on studying.
That's great. This is something that's very close to our heart as well because we really appreciate upskilling as well. So with that, I think we would also like to know if you could suggest like top three SEO professionals that you could recommend to the following the aspiring SEO enthusiasts.
So you mean like which SEO person would be good to follow?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I would definitely like follow people from Google itself, just to stay very close to the source. So John Muller, there's a JavaScript guy. I don't recall his name now. Martin Split, I thought, which is very good to follow. And also some people which are very known in the industry, like Lily Ray. So those are like three persons which definitely would be good to follow.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And we would also like to know what your top favorite three SEO tools are and why.
Um, I like to stay as close as possible to the source. So I use a lot the keyword planner from Google, just to make sure that I get directly the correct keywords, or I get the most cleanest source from Google. So the AdWords keyword planner I use a lot. Um, I do also quite a lot of research in Conductor, but it's more like an enterprise tool. So especially for smaller companies, they have like yeah, the pricing is quite high. Moz I use a lot, and Majestic for like the backlink analysis.
Nice, nice. And if you could share like three major tips on how you can increase the ranking of your website.
Yeah. So first of all, like keyword research, very, very important. And see if you have a page available on the site. Usually that's already like the first thing, which is very important. So last week I was working on an audit to see like, do we have for every city in the US, do we have a page for it? And then I found like 3,000 cities for which we don't have a page. So that was like a quick win. So we could like, or at least enable a page for those cities with jobs. So um, making sure that you do your keyword research and identify for if you have any pages that you need to create. Second is look into the keywords which have the highest search volume and which are the relevant ones. Check your current rankings. And if you're not ranking well, identify the pages which should rank and increase the content. Or like review the content, see if there's anything that you can expand, review what the competitors have, so you can provide a better page than them. And and I would also, as a third point, I would make sure to regularly update your content, especially for important pages, because one ranking factor is freshness. So if you have an important page or important service you're offering, but you haven't updated that page for 3 years, it means for Google that it's not that important, because otherwise you would have looked into it more. So making sure that at least for your most important pages, that you update them frequently, at least like every half year, maybe every 3 months, but make sure that they are very fresh.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And I hear you saying that, content is very, very important. And now what we see is that we see a lot of businesses are coming out with their blogs, and that basically helps them be very relevant, right? So what do you think, like, as an SEO specialist, would you suggest businesses to have their own blogs as well?
So I would first start if we have like the funnel. So the funnel from awareness, and then eventually like on the lower part, like when people actually like sign up, I would start on the lower end of the funnel. So first I would make sure that there are pages for products and services, that those are performing well, and if they rank well, then to go one step higher. Um, just to make sure that the content which you are producing first, that is generating the most conversions. So I would start with product and service pages, and then going more like the aspirational content to drive awareness.
Oh, that's great. So we've spoken a lot about your work. We also want to talk a little bit about what you're doing outside of work. So we see that you're active on LinkedIn, and we really want this to come from you, that how important do you think it is for professionals to have their own personal brand, and if yes, or if you could also share some tidbits of how you build your personal brand and what are your learnings out of it.
Yeah, so I think it's very important to have like a LinkedIn profile, actually for multiple reasons. One is if you're looking for a job, because the recruiters in there, they're also searching on LinkedIn. And I think LinkedIn is the largest database of people with CVs. And so recruiters will definitely look into there. So I think it's good to keep your LinkedIn profile active and updated, to also make sure that recruiters are able to find you. The second is that if you post something on LinkedIn, people will also see that, okay, she's an expert, or she knows that where she's talking about. So in case that they ever need a person, they know that they can reach out to you. So that's, and also if, for example, let's say that you have your own company or you want to work somewhere and people start researching you and they see your LinkedIn, that at least is like very representative of who you are.
Yes, absolutely. And how were you able to build your personal brand? Like, did you work very hard on it, or you just chanced upon it?
So sometimes I feel I should do more. Like I used to blog more, but yeah, I didn't have the time for it in the last years. So sometimes if I read something interesting and I think, oh, this would be nice for my network as well, then I share it on LinkedIn. Um, but I feel actually that I should write more blog posts to also show like the things where I'm working with and on like the expertise I have. But it's always a battle with time.
Yes, of course. But I think consistency is the key.
Yeah, I think that's good. Like at least that people hear from you, that they know that you're still around. So yeah.
Yes, yes. And since you use LinkedIn as well, right? So people are reaching out to you. I'm sure you are reaching out to people as well. So have you networked with like a diverse group of people via LinkedIn?
Um, Not that much actually. So usually
Mhm.
when we do networking, it's mainly on the events. So I recently, like last week, I went to an event, and then we met like other SEO persons in the area, or like yeah. So it's mainly on events.
Okay, of course.
Because
And
I think it's also the personal contact really helps. So if you see somebody in person, I think that gives an extra yeah dimension than in case you would meet with someone online.
yeah, so you're all up for in-person events, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And Miranda, we've seen that every single time we've been having some events regarding mentoring on the platform. You've always been a part of that, and apart from that, you're also running your own company, and we know that can be a task and a half. So I'm sure all of this, running after tasks, doing so much, having so much on your plate, can have a sort of like it creates a high pressure situation, right? So you do also
Yeah.
have to take care of your mental health. So what would be your top three things that you do to take care of your mental health?
Yeah. And yeah, I think it's very important. I think it's making sure that you have some time blocked for yourself. So sometimes it's a bit difficult because you know they have all kind of deadlines and you need to do a lot of stuff. But if you follow that, which I did in the past, so if you just like make sure that your clients are happy, everything is fine, but then actually you forget yourself. So um, yeah, sometimes not in the bad mood or like not the most healthiest. And then I thought, okay, now I need to switch. So now every morning do like sports, like 2 hours, just to make sure like that's my time, and then I start the day. So that's my current routine. So in the morning, and especially the morning is very good because nobody will email or call you, so it feels like very relaxed. I can really focus on the sports. And then when the day starts, I already checked off the box, like, okay, I did my sports, I had my own time, and then I just dedicated fully to work.
Yes, and when you do your sports, you're also very healthy and you're all motivated the entire day as well. It's also very
Yeah.
uplifting as well. And what sports are you interested in?
So I do a lot of triathlon and CrossFit as well.
That's nice. That's nice. And after a long, hectic day, how do you unwind?
Mm, I would
Miranda's
say
thinking,
Netflix.
Miranda's like, I don't unwind. My day doesn't end.
Yeah, so I must say, like, I work until quite late, but we always close the day with like just like half an hour of Netflix.
Nice, nice. So what are you watching on Netflix?
Before we were watching Blacklist, and then the last series we watched was uh, Gang Lens, which was very nice. So yeah, mostly like kind of like action mystery series.
Nice, nice. That's great. And if you could recommend like a movie or a show to somebody that's your like the top of your list, what would that be?
Hmm. I couldn't recall like a movie. Because I don't watch a lot of movies, so I always like movies with Denzel Washington. I think he plays very nice roles, but I don't have like one movie in mind.
Not even a show that you'd recommend.
So like a kind of show we don't have access to, but I watch sometimes on YouTube. Is The Apprentices. So I like that the people like pitch their business ideas and then how they present it, the creativity. So that's actually something which we like to watch on YouTube as well.
Nice, nice. And are you into book reading?
No,
No, that's
because
good.
yeah, if I do a lot of studying, so mainly I spend my weekends studying. So instead of reading, I try to learn something.
Yeah, of course. No, no, that's also reading in a case.
Yeah.
But we'd also like to understand, because throughout your career, I'm sure you've had a lot of setbacks as well. So if you could share like a couple of your stories where you faced failure and how you dealt with it and you motivated yourself.
Um, Sometimes I'm thinking if I've any specific ones, but sometimes you get like rejection on IDs or you want to execute the IDs, but you don't get the funding for it. And yeah, it's basically you just need to keep going. So even if you still get a setback, okay, maybe it's not now. Or how can I prove? One thing what I learned is that if you present ideas, you need to build it with a business case, like, and also in terms of revenue, because like the top management are just interested, like how can this help my top revenue? So in case if you present any ideas, like we want to create like a lot of content to target these people and to attract this traffic for the company overall, for the management that doesn't say something. But if the traffic, if we say, okay, we expect so many conversions, so many revenue, then it becomes a different story. So those kind of calculations really help to get your ideas approved.
Okay, that's great. And how do you sort of keep yourself motivated to like power through these things?
I think it's important to see, okay, this happened now, but what can I learn from it? So then, okay, maybe for next time I should have done this and this to make my ID better, and then keep on going. So I wouldn't stay too long in like the negative vibes, but at least it's important to reflect. So it didn't work, but why didn't it work? Maybe even have conversations like, okay, this idea didn't got improved, but what should I have done better to be able for next time? So I think it's very important to see what could have done better. Ask also information in case like you're not sure why it got approved. Ask the manager or someone like, what should I have done better to make sure that it gets started, or if we could start, and then continue.
Yes, of course. And I really like where you said that, there's a learning out of everything. And with that, did you, because we know we're focusing a lot on learning as well on the Curious platform, right? And we want to have that learning be aided by a mentor like yourself. So when you first started out, did you have a mentor in your professional journey who helped you, inspired you? If yes, who was it? And are you still in contact with them?
Yeah. So it was actually the lady who was in the translation company. So one of my first jobs, and she was a very like a powerful lady, and they had the two managers, no, two directors of the company. She was like the more innovative one, and seen as like a bit of a tough lady. So all the tough decisions were communicated by her. And then there was the other director who was a male. He was very kind, more like making sure that teams were operating well. So he was like the friendly one. But this lady, yeah, she was very like a strong character, but also yeah, good at heart. And she showed me like how can you be like a female leader, making sure you care about people, but also have the guts to take tough decisions when needed. And so she was a very inspiring person throughout, especially like the first years of my career. And we're still in contact. So when I visit the Netherlands, I try to have like lunch with her, and it's very nice.
Nice, nice. It's great to know that you're still in touch with them. And
Yeah.
if you could give like one message to the Miranda that just recently started working, what would that be?
Sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Yeah. So like Miranda today, with all her wisdom, all her learnings today, what would she like to give as a message to the Miranda that's first started working out, on her first job? What would be your message to her?
Yeah, keep learning, keep developing, keep going. And I think that's very important. I think there will definitely be roadblocks or disappointments along the way. But I think like, okay, to reflect on them, what can we learn from it and keep on going. And I think it's if there are certain roadblocks or disappointment, or sometimes like a colleague doesn't go very well, it's just stay to yourself, stay patient, put your good foot forward, like work hard, and then things will resolve automatically. So yeah, I think that would be my advice.
Yeah, no, that's a very good piece of advice that you've shared. And Miranda, since you've been working in the industry for a while, and you're a woman as well. So were there any points where you faced discrimination, and what do you think that how you were able to deal with it, if you faced that sort of situation or not.
Yeah. So I usually are not very conscious or about that, because I think that somebody should hire me because I'm good, not necessarily because I'm a female or so I always try to focus like how can I make sure that I put the best work out there. I did, especially when I moved to Dubai. I did like face some pre-assumptions. So it was with one of the local government entities, and while we were in the meeting, it was with my manager and myself, and they were just speaking with my manager, whereas I was like the expert on the field. So I was like, okay, it's maybe like something like cultural thing here. And then they were saying like next time we want you to bring your technical person as well. And then my manager was well, that's also her. So they were just as a pre-assumption like, oh, women are not technical. So it's more like kind of pre-assumptions are that I experience sometimes. But I think if as soon as people start working with you and they can actually see like, oh, this is the value and she is actually an expert, that will go away and people start accepting to you more.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes when you get this kind of feedback from other people that, you're a woman, maybe you don't know enough, or maybe there's room for improvement, you're bound to sometimes feel the imposter syndrome as well. So have you ever felt like it? And then if yes, then what were the steps that you took to sort of deal with it?
I didn't experience that actually, but I think when because I recently started a new job, and then it's of course the question like, okay, would you find me good enough? Like how things are going? Like it was a step upwards, or in so do they find that I do deliver a good job for them? So that was it was not an imposter syndrome, but it's more like a kind of like insecurity. Like, okay, how are things going into a new job? It's new skills, new people. How would they see me? So that was some a bit of exciting phase. It's going well now, so that's good. But at least that was some time where I felt like, okay, how are things going?
Nice, nice. And you spoke about starting a new job. So can you tell us where you're recently started working and what does your day-to-day job looks like?
Yeah. Um, so I started or actually 1.5 months ago. I started a new job, um, and what I'm currently looking into is basically like how from a website how can we restructure it so it's very good for SEO, which likely will be a rebuild of the whole site and the architecture. So I'm working on a lot of analysis to see where are opportunities. um, if we would rebuild it, what would be the potential uplift of that? And then I'm thinking back like what would be the potential uplift in sales, because that's really like what the management is interested in. So I calculated back like I have the traffic figures, then I check like what is the conversion rate, and then the value of that, so that we have like a sales figure or revenue figure that we can hang to those ideas. So currently it's a lot of analysis, and like defining how should we be what should be the ideal structure from a website so it can perform very well in SEO.
Yeah, and with that kind of day to day, I think you're also able to see your impact, right? So you see that, these were the sales, this is how I'm going to improve it, and then you're able to see that progress over time as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. So currently with the new job, it's still very early because I just like they still need to build it,
Mhm.
and it's a large project, so it will probably be finished by the end of the year. But at least I try to make all the like, small changes have some impact in the next few months.
Nice, nice. So this was the professional side and your work these days, what it looks like. Any personal project that you're working on, or any, like you said, you're studying on the weekend. So other than that, if there's like a project of a personal nature that you're working on, if you'd like to share that as well.
So my free time is mainly existing of sports and learning. So that's actually like what occupies the rest of the day.
Nice, nice.
So I
That's
like to do like I like traveling a lot, and I like to do like sport races in different countries. That's why at the moment I'm in Italy for because I have a marathon on Sunday. So that's how I spend my free time.
Wow, that's great. We really hope that you win the marathon. It's really great to see.
I doubt that, but I will try to put a new personal record out there.
Yes, of course, because that is learning, right? So you just beat yourself. You're in competition with yourself and nobody else, right? So
Yeah,
that's a very healthy way to
yeah,
look at it.
yeah, definitely. So especially with those kind of like the marathons, I try to set every time like a better race. So at least I see also like the progress over time.
Nice, nice. That's great. And Miranda, if you could go back in time and sort of change some things, would you still choose this particular field that you're working in?
Yeah, I would like it. I would maybe have done some other changes. Like it's always so easy when you look back because I did, for example, like a bachelor in hotel management, but then actually I never worked like really in that field that much. So I wouldn't have spent my time on that study by now. I would have also started earlier with coding, especially because it's so much in demand. So that is something what I would have want to learn earlier. I'm learning it now, but it's like yeah, I'm becoming 40 this year, so I already feel like I'm a bit late for that. So, but I think that's always when you look backwards, you see like the overall picture and how things turn out. But at the moment, when you're younger, you're not aware of that.
Yeah, but then for education, like there's no age. You even when you're old and when you're 80 or 90, whatever, you're still learning every single day. So the sooner one realizes that
Yeah,
this is something that I need to develop my skill in, the better it is for them.
yeah, and then I think yeah, we still have like so many years of working left, so why not make sure that we get some skills which are very much in demand and which help to provide you to become a more valuable person for a company.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've sort of covered all our questions. Just gonna move on to last set of questions. So, if there are a lot of people that are starting within the SEO field, a lot of the apprentices on our platform as well, and they want to connect with mentors, just learn how they navigated through their professional journey. So, if you could give like one guideline or one set of advice to those aspiring SEO enthusiasts, what would that be?
Yeah. So I think definitely it's a very good field to be in. It's a very, very high demand for SEO. The reason is like every company wants to be found in Google. So every company needs a SEO specialist. Um, so that's why I think if you like this area, it's definitely a good one to explore further and to learn more about. Um, it's always very important to go after a field. First of all, something which you like, so it doesn't feel as work, but something fun to do. But also to validate whether it's in demand. Because if you have like a skill which is in demand, it will make your life much easier. You have more choices of companies to work for. Um, yeah, it provides more opportunities to you.
Yes, absolutely. And every company, every organization does need like an entire SEO division. So that's very well said. And with that, I
Yeah,
think we've covered all our questions. Miranda, thank you so much for being a part of this interview. And we will get back in touch very, very soon with you once we have the edited snippets of all of this. And you will also see all of these on our social media very soon as well. So that's all from our side. Yeah, I think we've wrapped up this in quite a bit of time. Miranda, can you hear me?
sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I can see you now. Yeah, so that's all from my side, Miranda. Thank you so much for being a part of the interview. We loved having you over. We'll share the snippets with you very soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Bye,
I
Miranda.
think the screen was blocking a bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Miranda. Have a great rest of the day.